Money FM 89.3. Best of breakfast. Mind your business. Only on Money FM 89.3.
Yes, it's time to mind your business with Ahmad Akhtar and Audrey Seek. Now, in the U.S., the headlines are clear. Traditional TV is shrinking fast. Just this June, Nielsen reported that streaming overtook both broadcast and cable for the first time. But here in Asia, the story is different.
Yeah, research shows the APAC pay TV market is projected to rise from $63.8 billion US dollars in 2024 to over $71 billion by 2033, with China alone growing at about 3% a year through 2028. That resilience is what Rewind Networks, a homegrown Singapore company, is tapping into. Founded in 2012, Rewind has built channels like Hits Movies, and Hits Now, curating classic, high-quality shows and now reaching more than 22 million households across Asia.
So to find out why Asia's TV market is evolving differently from the West and how traditional TV can still thrive in the streaming age, we're pleased to welcome on the show Avi Himatsinghani, founder and CEO of Rewind Networks. Good morning, Avi.
Good morning, Ahmad. Good morning, Audrey.
It's great to have you on the show, Avi.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So let's start with an overview here. You know, we're seeing traditional TV shrinking fairly quickly over in the West with the rise of Netflix and Amazon Prime and whatnot. But we are still seeing growth here in Asia. So is this surprising to you? And why do you think audiences in this part of the world are still tuning in to pay TV and linear channels?
Well, I'll talk about simplicity. You know, end of the day, people have limited time and a limited wallet spend, and they want to maximize what they can do with that. The streamers are great. They offer convenience. You can watch what you want when you want. But there's also a whole lot of content that is not available on the streamers at will. Asia is very similar to the West in many ways, but also very different. I would say same, but different. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What happens here is that, if you just compare, I'm just giving you an analogy, in the U.S., for the longest time, pay TV was $100+ US dollar per month subscription fee. You know, what we call ARPU in our parlance, which is average subscription fee per home. I was ripe for disruption because when the streamers came in way back in the 2009, 2010, when Netflix came in, they came in at a $10 level or a sub $10 level. So it was ripe for disruption. Offered fantastic stuff, what you want to watch, when you want to watch, and it took off. In Asia, things are a little different. You know, in Asia, we're talking about, even in a I would say, first world market like Singapore with a high broadband penetration, you're talking about maybe $25 US dollars giving you 50, 60 channels in your pay TV bundle. So it's a fourth already of the pricing. So not so easy to disrupt. If you go into markets like Malaysia and Indonesia, it's $12 to $15 and you're getting 80 plus, 100 plus channels. And in these 100 plus channels, it's a large part of it, I would say 20, 30 services are local language, stuff that people like to watch conveniently every day. Local language entertainment, local language news. And so in Asia, pay TV is bundled alongside, international pay TV is bundled alongside this simple entry-level pack, as we call it. And therefore, it has mass reach, right? And we are anchored to that distribution. Our channels are anchored to that distribution. So I think you can't ignore the streamers. The world's evolving. I think the hybrid model is what it looks like to be, where if you have streamers and you're a subscriber of a streaming service, it's being offered pretty much by the same operator that's giving you your pay TV. And in the past, you used to have a basic pay TV bundle, and then you'd go and buy into a premium TV channel pack. Today, you have a basic TV bundle, and you buy into your premium streaming option. And so things haven't changed that much. It's just the way people consume are evolving.
Yeah, as you said, same, but different. Take us back to the moment when you founded Rewind Networks in 2012. This is a time when the industry consensus was already moving towards streaming platforms. Why did you think a linear TV channel could still work and not just survive, but scale as well?
So, you know, during my time at Fox Networks Group, where I spent more than a decade with National Geographic and Fox and Star TV brands in Asia, I noticed something very clear. So every time we aired repeat show, even if it was the 15th run of a great TV show, could be MASH, it could be Different Strokes, it could be a movie like Die Hard. Even if it was airing for the 20th time in the afternoon, non-prime time, it would rate. And I was looking around and there was a drive for me to want to start something on my own. And I said, what if there was a place where we just curated all the best of TV in one place? Generally, if it's rating one off on a first-run network, if it all happened on one network, could it work? So I took that plunge. I decided to leave the corporate world and set up Rewind Networks out of Singapore. Our brand Hits was launched, and it was a simple proposition. We'll put the best TV of all time in one place, 24/7.
Wow.
And it's a playlist that leaves you with guarantee that there's a hit happening at any given time. It was a hypothesis, and it worked. Today, 12 years on, we are 3 TV channels, a part of Rewind Networks: Hits, Hits Movies, Hits Now. Hits was the original first service that we launched in 2013, dedicated to TV shows. Buoyed by that success, and TV shows like from Cheers to Mission Impossible to MASH to even greats like Charlie's Angels, CSI, Law and Order, celebrating just great TV all the time. And buoyed by that success, we, 5 years later, saw that while streaming had come in full scale into the region, we found that there's no place to really watch some of the best movies made in the golden era of Hollywood, from the 60s to the early 2000s. If you go to the streamers, usually you're trying to scroll and search and looking at the latest stuff that you want to catch up on, but there's no place for a playlist. So we took that playlist destination idea and put that into movies, and we said Hits Movies. Very simply put, Hits Movies, the best movies all in one place. And that worked, and that took off, and now that's in 10 plus countries. And then a few years later, when Disney, that had acquired our Fox Networks group, shut down all of their channels in Asia, we saw a gap in the entertainment space. And that was Hits Now, where we said, let's go in and tap into all the big cultural moments, the big pop culture moments, the big franchises that broadcast TV in the U.S. delivers. And we created Hits Now. So from Survivor and Hell's Kitchen Express from the U.S. to all the major Grammy Awards, live shows, Emmy Awards, Golden Globe Awards. There's no home for this. So we saw that, and we jumped into that opportunity and moved into Hits Now. But our simple proposition always stayed. It's got to be the best TV all in one place.
Okay.
And that simplicity still rules for us.
Yeah, you named a lot of the classics. I love a lot of the shows that you mentioned. And it seems like you guys are leaning really heavily into nostalgia, right? Like dramas and comedies from the 60s through to the 2000s. Why build your brand around nostalgia instead of maybe chasing the latest content as well?
So we're doing both. We're curators. So, I think our core proposition and our expertise comes from being folks who can curate, deliver comfort, and at high quality. So for us, nostalgia was a starting point. Remember when we started 2012, 2013, we were we're an independent player, right? And all the big majors were focused on the first runs and the latest stuff. So we found this gap, and that's why I called it Rewind. We'll take you back in time. I gave you the reason that we thought that the shows would do well if we put it all in one playlist destination. So focusing on nostalgia has now actually become a trend. If you even look at some of the big streamers, some of the biggest shows that are happening, whether it's Suits on Netflix or Friends on HBO Max, and this is Modern Family on Disney Plus. They're beloved shows, and people can watch them and again. So this is a human tendency. People like to watch comfortable stuff. People like to watch stuff they're familiar with that gives them comfort. And we've tapped in very aggressively, well ahead in time with that proposition.
Yeah, you tapped into the media environment, which can be a difficult one to operate in at the best of times. We've seen many local production houses struggling to keep up with global streamers that have bigger budgets, they have larger catalogs, they have international reach. So what's it been like building a channel business against that backdrop here? Was it harder to secure content and distribution being headquartered here? What are some of the challenges that you faced?
So actually, Singapore is a great place to be, right? It's a regional hub. It's a hub for a lot of the large media companies. Even the global media companies have their Asia headquarters here, and that's where I came from. I was part of those networks. So moving out, setting up my own, Singapore was a natural place to set up. It's a great place for super talent, infrastructure, and access to all our regional markets. When we tapped into the deep library shows, I think it was a welcome move by all the Hollywood studios who loved it when I went out to them saying, hey, we want to set up a destination where we're going to bring some of your best shows back on TV. They loved it because that gives them a new lease of life for these shows. And we were tapping into that. So our relationships that we had with the content studios, given my background, my co-founder, Sandy Lee, who was also my biggest customer at that time at StarHub, but a deep knowledge of content. We had great relationships with the studios. We had great relationships with the distributors. And we leveraged off that. And we said, listen, this is a great gap and we think it could work. We got solid support from our operator partners, believers who said, this sounds like a solid play. In fact, I pitched to Sandy while she was still at StarHub and she said, I love this. Can I be part of this journey? So after 20 years at StarHub, she moved over to work with me as co-founder and we started Hits together, and we're still together, and it's awesome.
Yeah, well, your model is quite different. You don't sell subscriptions directly to viewers like Netflix or Prime Video, but instead partner with pay TV operators. So why did you choose that approach, and how does your business model actually work in practice?
So this has been an age-old practice. In fact, I'll come to how the streamers are going about it right now. But, the broadband distributors, the direct-to-home operators who have invested significantly in capital expenditure, in setting up subscription-based models. These are the go-to platforms where even today, if you want your broadband, you've got to go to a telco partner. And video is a very natural place for being bundled, and traditionally channels. So we do everything that's been done for the longest time, which is take our channel bundle and offer it to operators and telcos in the region. And they see us as a key partner, a key content provider for their offering of bundles. And we license our channels to them, and we collect a fee from them for the license fees. And in turn, they bundle our channels alongside their basic TV bundle and push it to subscribers. So there is some value proposition where it's a function of the subscriber reach, their average revenue, and we work out a license fee and we collect that, and that's how it works. Coming to streamers, you mentioned direct to consumer. While you can take them direct to consumer, more and more you will see that the operators nowadays are bundling those streamers alongside the linear channels as well. As I said earlier, linear channels in the basic bundle given to everybody, and then a buy-through option into some of the streamers that are pricier.
Yeah, does your model lend itself to profitability compared to other kinds of entertainment content?
Well, any business needs to be profitable or we won't sustain. We are an independent player out of Singapore. So I think end of the day, we have to be very frugal with our costs. We have to be realistic about the environment we are operating in and ensure that we're acquiring the right content at the right pricing, and delivering and curating and packaging and broadcasting it at the right efficiencies and getting fair value from our operators for those services. I think so far, as I said, our journey has been against the headwinds in a way, and we've been lucky to be valued as a key partner by the operators. They see the value in our curated, branded destinations that people love, that people tune into and come back to time and time again, and they value us. So I think that's key, ultimately.
All right. Well, Avi, we are almost out of time. But before you go, we have to ask you for one piece of advice to the entrepreneurs out there. How can they scale regionally just like you did? And what lessons have you learned from this journey?
Lots of lessons. I think fundamentally you've got to, I would say, do what you know best. I had the good fortune of knowing my industry and having a clear view on the potential opportunities. So that was an easy segue in. But nothing's easy in running your own business. So I would say get your playbook, get an act together, get a clear brand proposition, evolve the playbook as you go along. And see how it goes, because nothing really stays the same. And everything you assumed actually doesn't happen. So you need to evolve that. But at the core, I think whatever you do, keep the consumer, your customer at the heart of it, deliver on your brand proposition, and deliver with excellence.
All right. Well, even in the age of streaming, there's still plenty of room for traditional TV as long as you know your audience and deliver what they truly value. Avi, it was great having you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Avi Himatsinghani is the founder and CEO of Rewind Networks, and you're listening to Money FM 89.3.
Money FM 89.3.